So my husband took me garage sailing and he waited in the van while I jumped out, and I ran up to a place, bought this table and came carrying it back, and you should have seen the look on his face. What are we gonna do with that? I don't know, but it was $6. How can you not buy a little table when it's $6? Well, now we're gonna have to do something with it. So let's take this $6 yard sale find and see if we can't make it into something beautiful. I have a plan. Let's see if it works. Come on, let's get flipping. All right, so first thing first, even before I start cleaning things, this top has got to go. It's damaged, it's press board, it's gross. So I'm going to be removing the top. It screws on here, and I'm going to be replacing it probably with some planks. I have my little Skill electric screwdriver. This is like one of my favorite tools. I'm not sponsored. I bought this myself, and it comes in this little set with all these bits, but I absolutely love this thing. It's so much less awkward than using a drill, and it's lighter, so my wimpy wrist doesn't have to deal with it. It's my favorite thing. It's linked down below in my favorite tool section of the description, and I highly recommend them. Love them. So while I enjoy doing flips that involve painting furniture, I also do a lot of other flips that just involve buying low and selling high, maybe fixing up a little bit, cleaning, that kind of thing. And one of the things that I like to buy at auctions and estate sales are bed frames. And I've bought a couple recently that came with slats that don't fit the bed frame I bought. Don't know how that happened, mix up of some sort, but I've ended up with a bunch of extra slats for bed frames that I'm going to be recycling to use on the top of this table. So I'm going to trim off the edges. They have screw holes where they would have screwed into the frame, and I'm going to have to take the binding off, but then these boards are going to be the perfect length for this tabletop, and I'll have some to spare. Don't know if you've noticed, but lumber's a bit expensive right now, so I'm glad to have this backup option. So now I'm going to clean this off and get all the dust off with my crud cutter and just get this piece nice and clean, and then I'm going to go back over it with some sandpaper. This is metal. This is that same press board that was there, but for the metal I'm also going to give it a light sanding just to give that paint something to grab onto. That's going to be my best bet for a lasting finish. And it's probably going to make some nasty noises, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm moving right along, and I'm going to get into painting, and this is literally the last of a whole bunch of paints. It's some blue, some gray, some black, and it's all mixed together in a color that is, we'll have to see. I think there's green in here too. We'll have to see how it turns out. But if I hate it, the second coat will be black. And it'll cover it up. But my plan for right now is, since we're going with a more rustic looking top, we're actually going to distress back these colors. So I wanted to go with a dark color so I could bring out some of the bright colors back through, and we're going to see how this turns out. We could hate it, and it could go black in a moment. That's always the backup plan. But to start with, I've got my little bit of everything paint. I'm trying to use up the dregs of all my paints so that I can have an excuse to buy new stuff. But when I have so many cans, it doesn't look like I need any. That's not bad. No, I like the color. So to distress this piece, I'm just using a wet rag and I'm wiping back over those areas with the colored blocks just to take the paint off the square surrounding them in those design pieces so that they will really pop through with those colors. And I found that it was a little easier to sand very lightly first and then go back in with the cloth. I learned from my mistakes in my last planked top video that it's better to clamp 2 boards or 3 boards together at a time and not try to do the whole top at once. I only have 6 clamps, so I started out with 3 sets of 2 boards and then I added the last 2 boards to some of those sets and then I clamped those all together, waiting an appropriate amount of time for them to dry between sets. It isn't a very difficult process, but it is just a waiting game with all that drying time. I really couldn't figure out what I wanted the top to look like. So I started by trying this weathering, aging, stain stuff that I had left over from a previous project, and when it was all said and done, I just didn't like it. So I decided I would try dry brushing some different colors on. Okay, I know what you're thinking, it's looking kind of scary, but just trust the process. We're gonna get there in the end. I wish I could say I had a plan, but I'm just kind of making this up as I go along, so just bear with me for a minute. If you're starting to feel like you just don't trust the process, well, just know that I felt the same way at this point as well. And it's about to get better. My final step is to give this piece a wash with my original paint color. I have very, very watery paint and I'm just brushing it on and then wiping it back with some paper towel to reveal some of those colors underneath. So this was not exactly the plan when I started this piece. This wasn't even the plan when I woke up this morning and started working on it. I'm not exactly sure when this plan became an idea or if this ever really was the plan. It just evolved that way and I just kept adding things until I got this. I've never done anything like this. I'm still not sure what I did. And I haven't put it on the piece yet to see if it works at all yet, but I'm going to do that next, and then I have to get sealing. If this wind will die down, we've had tornado watches and power outages due to this windstorm that's been coming through. Today's just been gusty and breezy, and I wanted to spray my poly, so I'm kind of waiting for a moment when it'll calm down enough for me to get that done real fast so I don't have to try to not drip poly down those legs. So that's the plan. Well, how do you like that for a fun and funky piece of furniture? This was not in my scope of ideas when I started, but I don't know, it's kind of fun, and I'm hoping somebody's going to really enjoy a bright and colorful, eclectic piece in their home here in the Houston, Texas area. So hopefully I'll be able to find a buyer before too long. I only spent $6 on this at a garage sale. I used leftover paints and little bits of stuff on the top. So with my polyurethane and my little bit of paint, it's definitely under $15 for this piece. So I'm pleased with that. The wood on top would have cost me an arm and a leg at a hardware store, but like I said earlier, it was free to me. I sold the bed frame for a nice profit and kept these mismatched slats, making them perfectly free for this project. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe down below and leave me a comment, like the video, and that really helps me out on YouTube. But I'll see you guys next Saturday with another flip. Until then, I'm Sarah with our furniture flipping adventure. Bye.